Hello everybody, pleased to see you. So I'm just bringing up a question here that came in that I'm pleased to be able to answer here on Ask Karl G number 33. If you've got a question that you'd like answering, then drop the question into the comments. Hope everybody's all right. I'm very excited because we're about to start up the centre again. We've been very busy getting it all together. We're nowhere near ready, of course, after only a year and a half. A year and a half to prepare. But there we are. Anyway, yes. So the first course will be on the 3rd of April. That's horseback archery. We're taking in the rider confidence calls now. We're going to have a slightly reduced capacity, but we're going to put on more courses, so it'll all work out in the end. There we go. It's all very exciting. The year's moving on. The new season is starting. The clocks go forward very soon, so everything's looking good. I hope you're all doing all right. So we're going to get straight into the question. So the questions come in, and I'll pop it up on the screen. There we are. Let's show that. Lovely. There we are. So this question is all about a new horse. Now, of course, the possibility is that I'm going to give a generic answer and not necessarily get the personalization and context for the original questioner. So if you've got a question, bob it onto the comments, but if you need to join the show to explain it, do say, because there's always a place for you. Everyone's invited. Okay, lovely. So here's the question. The new horse is very much on his toes, being in a new home as well. And I'm feeling a little overwhelmed and concerned that I'm now expecting problems and not looking forward to going to the arena, so feeling anxious. What the little box doesn't manage to say is that there is building work going on, and that all this work has started in the arena, which is all new as well. So we've got the new horse and the new building works and the general chaos, and it started to create an atmosphere expecting tension. And yeah, I can fully understand that, and we don't really know which way to go. So all I can say is what's worked for me, and it has worked for me very well. And I've done quite a few videos, both for humans and horses, entitled something along the lines of "Action Beats Anxiety." Action beats anxiety. So if your horse has got something to concentrate on, and your own primitive mind that's spending all this time worrying and anticipating problems and thinking that this is going to cause problems and that's going to cause problems, if your mind has something to concentrate on and the horse has something to concentrate on, then the chances are that's how we're going to ignore all the chaos around us. Well, it'll have two things. Firstly, it will enable us to ignore the chaos going on all around us. And secondly, your horse isn't daft. It knows that if you're concentrating on something, if you're doing a schooling exercise, then if that JCB was genuinely a tractor, you wouldn't be wasting your time doing a few circles or some spirals or some figure eights or some lunging or some... And the more you insist that the horse gets it right to the very best of its ability, then the more the horse will be reassured that even in all this chaos, everything must be normal, otherwise I wouldn't be being schooled. However, you're quite right that we've got the double whammy, that the horse is quite new to you, so it might not have that basic thing that we do. Me and my owner, we do this. Me and my owner, we do that. I had a horse, a real spooky Welsh cob called Sputnik, and we used to go to the shows, and he was so reactive. But we go into the very middle of the showground when everything's going crazy, and we just lunge. So simple. just lunge. And I'd insist, that he walked until the point where I said trot, and he trotted until the point where I said walk, and he'd stop on the spot, start on the spot, go into canter on the correct leg with the correct bend, with one ear on me and one ear forward, because that's what we did at home. And there is no way that if I was taking him to the lions and tigers and bears, that I would be wasting my time schooling him. He does know that. So with this new horse, if you've got a routine, any routine that you've been doing, then you can do that routine in amongst the chaos. There is a proviso with this, which I'll talk about in a minute. So the routine that you're doing might even be carrot stretches, stuff you can do in the stables, stuff you can do out in the fields. It could be little exercises where the horse has to concentrate. It could be moving back in a square. Well, to move a horse back in a square is quite a thing. So that's something that you could develop over, say, 2 weeks, you know, where it's not quite so crazy because the horse is new to you. If you've only just joined the broadcast, you can read what the question is, but what I haven't put on is that there's loads of building work going on. So it's a new horse and there's a new environment that's very chaotic. So pick an exercise that the horse can do in its comfort zone quite happily. Because it's a new horse, you might have to put 2 weeks aside and go and get that exercise. Lots of attention when he gets it right. Make the horse really secure that, yeah, I know what I'm doing here. And then when we went to a show and everything was chaos, and when I say chaos, it was chaos. I mean, I've already done a broadcast and I refer back to the Macclesfield Showground with regularity. It was mental. There was a bunch of motorbikes in the arena. Now our contract says there must be nothing in the arena, but of course when you get there, there's a bunch of motorbikes in the arena. And then, to be fair, we did insist they cordoned them off, but they're still there. Well, kind of there, but there we are. There was a candy floss stall just there, right next to the arena. There was the ghost train just over there, where the little cars came out the lorry with the flappy doors, and the soundtrack goes whee. There was that there. There was a little roller coaster there. There was the teacups, the flying teacups there. The crazy house was there, and I can't remember what was round beyond the crazy house. That was enough for me. I was so worried. This was in the early days when perhaps I didn't know quite as much as I do now, and I was really worried. And I went in the morning, like really early, to catch everybody setting up. But I wasn't early enough. That even though it was about 7:30, they'd already set up. Everything was still going. And the horse was absolutely perfect. And it's almost like the horse taught me this, what I'm saying now. It just started doing the routine that we do at home as soon as we're in an arena. And of course, if he was doing it, I was going to do it. And that taught me a massive lesson that I've applied to my horses ever since. When it seems that it's all chaos, when you think the last thing you would ever want to do would be to start doing a routine and schooling your horse, that's exactly what you need to do. Now, I'm going to put the proviso in here. Obviously, here we're talking about a new horse as well, so it's doubly difficult, and there's all the building work going on. How much people then say, how much do you push a horse at danger when it's obviously frightened? And The answer is I use a little traffic light system. If you imagine a green circle, and that's the comfort zone, that's the activities where we're super fine, in the environments where we're super fine. That green gradually turns to yellow in a bigger circle, and that's amber. That's the learning zone. You know, there may be things that will be interpreted as danger, but really we'll get past those. And then that learning zone gradually fades to red, and red is the panic zone. So, for example, if your horse happily walks past the lorry every day, then it's obviously in the green zone. If it decided to just stop and start making a fuss about the lorry, you'd put your leg on pretty damn quick and go, get on. And you'd fully expect it to get on. Don't mess around. If the lorry had its ram down, then okay, something's changed, and your horse may be starting to go into the yellow zone, the learning zone, if it's not seen that particular aspect of the horse before, of the lorry before. And then you're in the learning zone where you can insist that your horse goes on, because really he just needs to learn that that's fine. So you would apply a bit of determination there. Once you start going off the yellow zone into the red zone, let's say it had never seen a lorry before in its life, and suddenly a lorry turns up and it's quite big, and the engine's running and this and that, that's when you start thinking about let the horse stop and look at it, let the horse assess that it's not going to hurt it, if that's one of the philosophies that you adhere to. This might be the time that the treats come out. I'm not a great fan of treats, but when we're going to be in the panic zone, we don't want to be in the panic zone, so that's when I'd get treats out. That's when I'd get allow stop and assess. So I do the insisting in the learning zone. The horse is quite used to this. So in terms of a new horse in a new environment and there's a load of building activity going on, I'd establish a routine, any routine, and I'd carry out that routine in that environment according to where we are in the learning zone. If there's 3 JCBs scraping around, you might be a little bit in the red zone depending on the horse. But on the whole, it works really well. I can only say that at the Macclesfield Showground, it was overwhelming. And this action beats anxiety. Oh, it also gives you something to focus on. Really gives you something to focus on. And then that overcomes your own anxiety. If you're going in and you're absolutely determined to say ride a figure eight, you're going to do a figure eight. It's going to be the 2 most perfect circles. You're going to change your diagonal bang on the middle. You're going to be having the correct bend on one side, the correct bend on the other. You've got a good posture. The horse is going to be on the bit with its back legs underneath it, carrying the right amount of weight, making the nice top line with a rhythmical consistency. And absolutely you're going to do that. Now, if your horse is quite used to you insisting that, everything will be familiar. And the fact that there's a load of clatter going on and the builders are all hammering a few boards into place, no difference. If you don't change your behaviour, the horse will take comfort out of that. And crucially, you will take comfort out of that. If you're like, I am still going to do the most amazing figure eight that I have ever done to the very best of my ability, then your primitive brain won't start, oh, what are they getting out now? What's going on now? What's going on now? Within your traffic light system of comfort zone, learning zone, danger zone. So I hope that's helped. If it was my horse, I would have a small, well, it depends how trained the horse is, I suppose, assuming that your horse is already backed and being able to be ridden in a nice way. I just start with a circle, nice and simple. Circle, circle, circle. Maybe lunging, maybe a bit of stopping and moving the horse backwards. If the building work is pretty chaotic, I'd probably establish that in 2 weeks beforehand, so the horse absolutely knows it, and then take it into the arena and insist on the correct routine. because the horse feels comfort. The horse will know exactly where it is. So I hope that's explained how I'd go about it, and I hope it's been of use to you as well. I noticed that a few comments have come in and questions. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. I will read your questions afterwards. And if there's any questions that you'd like to put on, if you're watching on replay, then stick them in the comments and we'll get to them. Thanks for listening.